football is flying high with their undefeated season, and soon they may be playing on Broad and Norris.
Independence Hall will witness yet another historic event. College Game Day is coming to the city of brotherly love.
And Halloween is almost here. We'll take you behind the scenes of one of Philadelphia's scariest attractions. Hello and welcome. You're watching Temple Update. I'm Sierra Horsey.
And I'm Phil DuPont. This week, more than ever, Philadelphia is a college football town. Temple football is shattering national polls and breaking into new territory that many fans never even thought possible. The Owls are 7-0 for the first time in program history, following a 24-14 win over ECU. With the win, Temple climbed one spot in the AP poll to number 21.
Hello and welcome. You're watching Temple Update. I'm Becca Hendrickson.
And I'm Tennyson Coleman. The big story this week is election results throughout the city and throughout the nation.
A number of big changes came from this year's elections, some expected and others came as quite a surprise.
Here in Philadelphia, voters took part in a near-record mayoral election landslide. Voters in the city and across the state also helped make history, voting for 3 Supreme Court seats for the first time ever.
But first, the results from the mayoral race are in, and Philadelphia has a new mayor for the first time since 2008.
Let's go to Phil DuPont at City Hall with more from the winners and the losers. Phil?
Guys, Jim Kenney is a born and bred Philadelphia politician with 23 years of experience on city council. He campaigned very hard as the most progressive candidate in this race, and on Tuesday night he took some time to talk about what his expectations are for his new administration.
Thank you, Kelly. French investigators found a Syrian passport at the scene of one of the attacks. Now, leaders are divided about accepting Syrian refugees into their countries. Nations in Europe are further scrutinizing asylum applications. More than 30 American governors say they don't want to accept refugees. 2 presidential candidates say Christian refugees should be given priority. President Obama strongly disagreed.
Individuals say that we should have a religious test and that only Christians, proven Christians, should be admitted. That's offensive and contrary to American values.
The U.S. has accepted 1,800 Syrian refugees since 2011, but President Obama said in September he wants to accept 10,000 more this year.
Becca, in a couple of years, could where you're standing be the new entrance?
That's definitely a possibility, Sierra. And just think about it, how much this space has changed in a year's time. A year ago, it was an apartment complex. Now it's a pocket park, and pretty soon it could be a stadium. It's an announcement that's been years in the making, and it's all part of this ever-changing landscape here at Temple University. Roaring crowds.
The world is still rattled from the attacks in Paris. We have reaction from our correspondents in London.
Hundreds of students marched down Broad Street to fight the cost of college.
An explosion and fire near campus had social media ablaze. Hello and welcome. You're watching Temple Update. I'm Becca Hendrickson.
And I'm Tennyson Coleman. The world is still recovering from the attack in Paris late last week.
We have breaking news now in those terror attacks. The mastermind behind the terror, Abdelhamid Abeoud, is dead, according to the Paris prosecutor. He was killed in a raid Wednesday afternoon. Europe's deadliest terrorist attack in 14 years still has Paris and the rest of the world on edge. Sweden raised its terror alert after finding evidence of another terror plot. Security for Pope Francis has now been doubled after the attack, while a search for France's #1 suspect, Salah Abdeslam, continues throughout Europe. In response to the attack, French armed forces bombed multiple Islamic strongholds in Syria. French police have carried out over 400 raids since Friday. The result, 60 arrests, dozens of weapons seized, and another 100 citizens on house arrest. President Obama says the U.S. won't immediately increase airstrikes against ISIS.
Tuesday, a soccer match between Germany and the Netherlands was canceled, and the stadium evacuated after fears of another attack. According to the police, they had evidence to believe that the stadium would be targeted. Fans were quickly evacuated from the area an hour and a half before game time. The German chancellor and at least 3 other top government officials were expected to be in attendance at the match. The only American killed on Friday was a study abroad student from California. Temple has dozens of students studying abroad, and some were in Paris during the attacks. Our Temple Update London correspondent Kylie Winkler has their story.
Liz Persall and Michaela Alaka, 2 students from Elon University, had arrived in Paris Friday night in the midst of the terror. Not realizing what had taken place, they carried on with normal activity for over an hour after the first attack was underway.
It was bad. People were running in the streets and stuff, crying.
It's like so real at the time, and I just got very scared because I had no idea what was going to happen next.
What if they picked the Moulin Rouge instead of the Bataclan? Like, it could have been us.
They escaped before the borders were closed, but say this experience will stay with them forever.
You say pray for actually pray for Paris.
Other students in London remained on edge.
I was in New York still, heading for London on the red-eye flight, and our initial thoughts were, oh my God, we were in New York for 9/11, and just kept thinking, this is it, this is happening.
American students studying abroad in London say that because of their close proximity to Paris, they feel much more of an impact after Friday night's attacks.
I felt like the mood was very somber all weekend everywhere I went. I was in that same city, and that's terrifying.
I think it's just different being here. Like talking to my friends in the States, they're kind of unaware.
My roommate was there last weekend, 5 days before it happened, and it's just real because it's not like it was a big event or anything. Like I could have been at a rock show. You feel closer to the people if you've actually been there.
I don't think I'm gonna let it affect me. I think if you let it affect you, then the terrorists win.
Reporting for Temple Update in London, I'm Kylie Winkler.
Vive la France!
Temple released a statement Monday saying that all Temple study-away students have been contacted and are safe. They've been made aware of all safety precautions. Now, Temple Update spoke with another student from the region studying abroad who was in Paris the night of the attack. Jessica Dudra told us what she and her fellow classmates experienced.
What we didn't know was nice, but at the same time, not knowing how awful it was, like we were really naive towards the situation at first. Like we were walking around Paris, the streets of Paris, and people were telling us, like, what are you doing?
It was a scary experience for students who were there, but you didn't have to be in Paris to be shaken by the attacks.
We now go live to Kelly Antonacci at Alter Hall. Kelly, what's the feeling around campus after these deadly attacks?
The students I talked to are just heartbroken. The attacks may not have happened here in Philadelphia, but everyone is feeling the repercussions. What students have mixed feelings about, however, is the media coverage.
I haven't experienced any hardships or anything post these horrific attacks in Paris. I don't find that is usually the case on this campus.
When people hear that I come from a Muslim family, it's automatically like, oh, like, you know, are they in affiliation with certain types of people?
It's also sad that only because it's Paris, that it's France, that France got reported on.
I was kind of upset to see that they were covering just Paris and not Lebanon, Syria, Beirut, and all these other places.
And it was heartbreaking just to see like the families and pretty much people lose like their loved ones.
To me, it was a shock because you never expect a very developed country like France to go through something like that, especially in today's society.
French journalism professor Fabienne Darling-Wolfe explained that while students here at Temple are still in shock, France has already begun to deal with the political aftermath.
The main concerns in terms of kind of the aftermath of the killings, and so there's a lot of discussions about that right now. Is that what is that going to do to the political scene?
Professor Darling-Wolfe also told us that one way this is being politicized is that government leaders are talking about closing the borders to refugees. Reporting live from Alter Hall for Temple Update, I'm Kelly Antonacci.
Thank you, Kelly. French investigators found a Syrian passport at the scene of one of the attacks. Now, leaders are divided about accepting Syrian refugees into their countries. Nations in Europe are further scrutinizing asylum applications. More than 30 American governors say they don't want to accept refugees. 2 presidential candidates say Christian refugees should be given priority. President Obama strongly disagreed.
Individuals say that we should have a religious test and that only Christians, proven Christians, should be admitted. That's offensive and contrary to American values.
The U.S. has accepted 1,800 Syrian refugees since 2011, but President Obama said in September he wants to accept 10,000 more this year.
Philadelphia stood in solidarity with Paris on Saturday. Dozens came out for a vigil at Love Park to show support for the terror victims. Ben Ott reports.
The city of brotherly love connected with the city of lights. Hundreds quietly gathered at Love Park Saturday night for a vigil to honor those who lost their lives the night before.
I think we just need to show the world that we care.
A French flag carried in and tied to the love sculpture. Beneath, candles flickering, resembling the peace sign in the shape of the Eiffel Tower. Quiet mourning turned to song as the French national anthem rung through Love Park. Chloe Touchon, one of the event organizers, is a student from France.
I'm feeling sad still today because I'm far away.
She won't be returning to France for another year until she's finished with school. For now, she can only contemplate the motivation behind what happened.
I can't understand someone who can kill another person just because, I don't know. I can't understand this behavior.
Stéphane Forsic is also a France native. He drove 60 miles from Reading once he learned about the vigil.
Yeah, because I know the places, I know that club, the Bataclan. I was there, I think, 3 years ago. I know the area.
This wish wall is usually brought out for the holiday season. Every year, visitors post their wishes, but tonight, the messages got a lot more personal. As the night continued, more slips of paper mentioning Paris hung on the wall, all tied in words like love, peace, and prayer.
We're in a powerful position to say how we feel and to put that out there. I think social media is a huge platform for that, and based on that, we can express ourselves however we feel, but I think when we stand together, that's powerful in itself.
With thousands of French people living in our area, it comes as no surprise that the Paris attacks had an immediate impact here in Philadelphia. Reporting for Temple Update, I'm Ben Ott.
What a powerful event that was. Philadelphians continued to come out and pay their respects to the French victims and their families throughout the week. Flowers and memorabilia had been placed underneath the French flag along the parkway. Philadelphia police say there has been no increase in threats to the city in light of the recent attacks. And we'll have more on those terror attacks as that story develops. Stay with Temple Update, Update Now, and Update Aura for the latest.